Well, good morning. This is Michael DeVille coming to you from beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. It is December 12th, 2020. I'd like to continue discussion about negotiations and, of course, negotiating with knowledge. Now, you better get used to negotiating because life is one continuous negotiation. So the better you are at it, the better your life's going to be. So we like to negotiate, but one of the first things we do when we're in the investment world is we need to find properties that work for our portfolio. And we have specific parameters for it. We have a strategy and a plan, and not all properties will work. We have what we call a universe of homes, where we've bought other properties, we've done the research for them, and the growth dynamics and the tenants and the population there is what we're looking for, and we know that area pretty well. We get to know the product, we get to know the area, we get to know the growth rates, what the rent should be, we get to know the values, we get to know what the problems are going to be, how long the roofs will be, how long the air conditioner is going to last. So we get to be very, very knowledgeable of what we're talking about, and that's what we say we're negotiating with knowledge. Now, negotiating with knowledge is good whether you're buying properties or you're buying cars, or if you're negotiating stocks and bonds or buying directly from someone. You want to have as much knowledge as you possibly can on that particular investment that you're doing, or that particular negotiations. You need to know your position and what the value is if we're purchasing, what that is. Because often in our universe of homes, if a property comes on the market at $300,000 and we think the property is worth $300,000, well, then we say it's on sale and it's acceptable. This would be a very normal transaction. If we think the house is worth $300,000 and it's worth $325,000, then we think they're asking too much and we probably won't enter negotiations. We'll pass. That's the same with almost anything else that you're buying in life. You need to know what the value of that property is. And in life, you need to know what constitutes a win, because oftentimes there's lots of 5 or 6 or 7 different items on any transaction or any contract. That's going to be some contention, that there's going to be some decisions going to be made that are negotiable items, and we're going to remove ourselves from those items and allow the opponent party to get those wins. Now, in my world, when we're buying a piece of property, I always let the seller win on the setting the closing date. I let them win on a title company. I let them win on any concessions. But where I want to win is on the price, because that's most important to me. And when I'm going through these negotiations, I always want to introduce myself to my opposing party, explain to them I'm very, very experienced at what I do, and that this will be a smooth transaction and we'll get what we both want. The seller wants to close the transaction, the buyer wants to close the transaction, and we'll both work as a team to close that transaction so there won't be any friction between the two of us. This will remove a lot of the egos, because as professionals, we never want to bring our ego to the negotiations at all. Now, oftentimes our clients get a little upset, but we as negotiators can never, ever do that. Now, in today's marketplace, there's often lots of competition because we are generally in the entry-level prices. We're exceptionally good buyers, either paying cash, half down, 25, 35% down. And a lot of the first-time home buyers just can't afford to do that. They're buying FHA or VA at 3% down or 5% down. They're still good buyers, but they just don't have that leverage of finance behind them. And we become formidable opponents, and we're often the ones that they have to beat. Now, in talking with the opposing party, whether you're negotiating or not, it's often to your advantage to find out what the concerns are for the opposing party. In my business, the seller often has concerns, and particularly in a very competitive market like today, if they haven't bought something and they need to sell, they're often concerned the fact that if I sell my property, I've got to go buy one. How am I going to do this? I'm going to have to move and not have a place to go. So we can remove that by saying we're more than happy to extend the closing. We'll go ahead and allow you to lease back and solve the problem for your opposing party, and the transaction goes together and gets smoother. I just want to win. I have one thing I want to win on, and that's the price. Now, included in that price are the repairs, because I've never had a property that doesn't have problems on the inspection. So The inspection is going to, and whether it's inspecting a home or you're buying a plant or you're buying a big ranch, whatever it is, you're going to find something. They're going to inspect it. They're looking for what the repairs are, and someone needs to fix these repairs. Typically, the seller doesn't want to or can't do the repairs, and we always assume that responsibility for them. We just want them to credit us. We'll do what they're supposed to do. We'll assume that responsibility, and again, solve the problem for the seller. If we know what the problems they have, the problems become the solutions. So in negotiations, the problems become the solutions. If you know what the problems are, you can get this done. And the only way you can find the problems is having open communications with your other party, and that's how we do it as professional negotiators. Now, again, we try to buy properties on sale. They need to fit our parameters. They need to give us our return on investments. We need to define what our win is, and we concentrate on the win and let the party have everything else other than that. I don't negotiate on title company, closing costs, concessions. Let the seller have their wins. We just want our main win, and we define what constitutes a win for us. And that's how we get lots and lots of properties, good properties in our portfolio, because we're very selective. We have a process. We have a methodology and a strategy. We buy properties that we want to rent, not rent properties that we've bought. So these are properties we buy as rentals because that's what we're going to do with them. They're there to make us money. If we can't make money on the transaction, we will walk away. And you need to have a walk-away price as well. So if you want to discuss this with me, if you have any questions, if you want to brainstorm, you know how to reach me. You can get me at michael@michaeldeville.com. My best to you. Bye.